When a poor boy started tinkering with engines, no one could have imagined he'd go on to build some of the most luxurious cars in the world. This is the story of Frederick Henry Royce, born in 1863 in Alwalton, England. Henry was the youngest of 5. His parents, James and Mary, ran a flour mill, but business wasn't booming. James lacked business skills, and for years the family lived in deep poverty. In 1867, things took a turn for the worse. The family declared bankruptcy and moved to London in search of a fresh start. Henry was just 4 years old when he got his first job, scaring birds from a farm field for 6 pence a week. Then tragedy struck again. In 1872, when Henry was 9, his father passed away. With no choice, all the children had to contribute. Henry sold newspapers and delivered telegrams just to keep the family afloat. His tough upbringing left a lasting impression. By the age of 15, he'd only completed 1 year of formal schooling. But that didn't stop him. He secured an apprenticeship at the Great Northern Railway Works, thanks to help from his aunt. Although he lacked a traditional education, Henry was hungry to learn, studying algebra, French, and electrical engineering in his spare time. Still, after 3 years, money ran out and he had to quit. Over the next several years, Henry bounced between jobs, first at a tool-making company in Leeds, then at the Electric Light and Power Company in London. In 1882, he moved again to Liverpool, continuing in the electrical field. But his real passion was engineering. At 22, Henry and his friend Ernest Claremont launched their own business, F.H. Royce and Company. They made electrical components like doorbells and dynamos, eventually expanding into electric cranes by 1894. But Henry had a new obsession: motor cars. Now, if Henry Royce was one half of the story, the other was a man named Charles Stuart Rolls. Born in 1877 to an aristocratic family in London's upscale Berkeley Square, Charles had a privileged upbringing. The youngest child of Lord and Lady Languedoc, Charles developed a love for machines early on. He studied mechanical engineering at Cambridge and quickly gained a reputation for his enthusiasm and grease-stained hands. Fellow students nicknamed him Dirty Rolls. He was also the first undergraduate at Cambridge to own a motor car, buying a Peugeot from Paris at just 18. This was a time when most people had never even seen a car. After graduating in 1898, he briefly worked on a steam yacht and at the London and Northwestern Railway. But his real interests were speed, engineering, and entrepreneurship. In 1903, with financial backing from his father, Charles opened one of Britain's first car dealerships, C.S. Rolls & Co., selling imported Peugeot and Minerva cars. Business boomed, funding his expensive hobbies, motorsports and aviation. Unfortunately, one of these passions would eventually claim his life. Back in Manchester, Henry Royce was growing increasingly fascinated by cars. In 1901, he bought a second-hand 2-cylinder De Dion Bouton and began improving it. Unimpressed by its construction, he decided to build something better. By late 1903, he had built his own petrol engine. And in 1904, he rolled out the very first Royce 10-horsepower motor car. He built 3 cars, one for his partner Claremont, one for a company shareholder named Henry Edmunds, and the last for himself. It was Edmunds who saw the potential and introduced Royce to Charles Rolls. At the time, Rolls was growing frustrated with only selling foreign cars. When Edmunds showed him Royce's creation, he was immediately intrigued. Despite typically preferring 3- or 4-cylinder engines, Rolls was impressed by Royce's 2-cylinder model. He test drove it and was hooked. Right then and there, he agreed to sell as many as Royce could build. It was an unlikely partnership. Rolls was 26, privileged and university educated. Royce was 41, self-taught and battle-hardened by poverty. But together, they made it work. In 1906, Rolls-Royce Limited was officially formed. Their next big leap came quickly. The launch of the Silver Ghost, a 6-cylinder car so smooth and reliable, it earned the nickname, the best car in the world. But credit also goes to a third man, Claude Johnson, Charles Rolls' business partner. While Henry engineered and Charles raced, Claude managed the brand. As managing director, he launched brilliant marketing stunts to demonstrate the car's reliability and quiet performance. One of his earliest ads proclaimed, "The 6-cylinder Rolls-Royce, not one of the best, but the best car in the world." The phrase stuck and helped shape the brand's elite image. Johnson became known as the hyphen in Rolls-Royce. Of course, marketing only works if the product delivers. And Henry Royce was uncompromising in his pursuit of excellence. He rarely ate properly, overworked himself, and eventually his health declined. Still, he outlived Charles Rolls by decades. Charles had continued to pursue aviation. In 1910, he became the first person to fly non-stop across the English Channel and back. But just 1 month later, during a flying display in Bournemouth, his plane crashed. He was only 32 years old, the first Briton to die in an aircraft accident. From that point on, Henry carried the legacy alone. Despite chronic health issues, he never stopped working. During World War I, the company pivoted to producing aero engines, something Rolls had once suggested. Royce's engineering brilliance laid the foundation for decades of success. He worked until the very end. His final sketch was made from his deathbed, just hours before he died in 1933 at age 70. Today, Rolls-Royce remains one of the most iconic luxury brands in the world. Now owned by BMW, it produces elite models like the Cullinan, Ghost, Phantom, Wraith, and Dawn, with over 130 dealerships across 40 countries. Under the leadership of Torsten Müller-Ötvös, since 2010, Rolls-Royce has continued to thrive. But none of it would have been possible without the vision of Sir Henry Royce and Sir Charles Rolls, two men from vastly different worlds who came together to create a name now synonymous with perfection, engineering excellence, and wealth. Royce, who had always been skeptical of flying, refused to pursue aero engines with Rolls. But after Rolls' death and the onset of World War I, he eventually changed course. Rolls-Royce began producing aircraft engines, a decision that would help define the company's future. Though Royce continued working passionately, his health was poor. Years of overwork and childhood malnutrition took their toll. He died in 1933, aged 70, still sketching engine designs from his deathbed just hours before he passed. The enduring legend today, Rolls-Royce remains one of the world's most iconic luxury brands. Known for excellence in both cars and aircraft engines, the company continues to represent unmatched craftsmanship and innovation. Now owned by BMW, Rolls-Royce offers prestigious models like the Cullinan, Ghost, Phantom, Wraith, and Dawn, with over 130 dealerships across 40 countries. Since 2010, the company has been led by CEO Torsten Müller-Ötvös, whose leadership has sustained its global success. But at its core, Rolls-Royce remains a tribute to two remarkable men, Sir Henry Royce and Sir Charles Rolls, whose dreams, vision, and perfectionism helped create a symbol of timeless luxury and engineering excellence.